Crafters, I have a grandnephew who's getting married in a couple weeks, and I need to make his wedding card. So we're going to do that tonight. And we're going to make the card out of the Layers of Beauty photopolymer stamp set. And for the sentiments, we're going to use the Lifetime of Love cling stamp set. And then we're going to make our own background paper using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. Hi, I'm Joan Heberlein, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I created this video for Joan Simple Paper Crafts, found right here on YouTube. If you're new here, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you're a returning guest, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below. That way you won't miss when I post a video, which is typically once a week. Now give me a few seconds to turn the camera down and we'll get started. Here's that wedding card we're going to be making tonight. On the outside it says congratulations, and then on the inside it says wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. We use the Layer of Beauty photopolymer stamp set for this card, and we use this stamp right here. But then I got the sentiments from the Lifetime of Love. I chopped this part off so that I could just have the congratulations, and then it says wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. So just those two stamps. And then for the dies, we're going to use the perennial postage dies, and we'll use the largest one. And for the Layer of Beauty dies, we're going to use this large one that outlines the flower. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this to the side here. We have a piece of garden green, and we're going to cut this down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Let me get my trimmer. I'm going to score it at 4.25 inches. That's going to be 10.8 centimeters. And let me just show you our blades that are on this trimmer. We have our scoring blade. That's the light tan. And then the darker tan is the trimming blade. I put on a second trimming blade. It's one of these that are dull, and it says glitter on it. And I use that when I score foil or glitter paper. That way it won't dull this blade as much. I always have a fresh blade here. Then our trimmer also has an arm on it, so we can get up to 17.25 inches with this. Now that's almost 44 centimeters. 43.7 centimeters it looks like. And then these blades are on this track here so that I don't have to take them on and off. And I'm just going to pull them all the way down here so the trimming blades are out of the way. And let's see, we wanted 4.25. And then we just go up and down. And what this is doing, it's going to give me 2 cards at one time. I had to do that anyways, so I might as well do it on the full card and get 2 cards cut. And here we're going to cut it at 5.5 inches, which is, let me start over, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. That's going to be 14 centimeters by 21.6 centimeters. And this is at 4.25 mark. That's also 10.8 centimeters. And we're going to fold and burnish that. And I got everything else cut down to size, so we won't need our trimmer blade. So we're going to just score this on both sides to get a nice crisp edge. On the inside, we need a piece of cherry cobbler, and I've got 2 pieces cut here. This has been trimmed down to 4.1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, or 10.5 centimeters by 13.7 centimeters. And like I said, we got 2 of those. One's for the inside of the card, right here, and we're going to glue that down right now. If I can find my silicone mat, we'll use this. That'll help keep our work surface clean. And I am going to just come in with my scoring blade because the paper was curling up just ever so slightly there. And now it looks good. So we're going to glue it on this side. This is our Sweet Petunia glue gun. It's not a Stampin' Up! Product, but I use it, and I use it with this multi-purpose glue inside here. This is the same thing that you can get in the catalog. And it allows you to do fine lines or thick lines. You just squeeze harder and move it a lot quicker to get a nice fine line. And it's great for doing delicate glue spots. I'm going to go this way. I can get it on there a lot easier when I have it facing me landscape. So we're making 1/16 of an inch for a border on all 4 sides. And I'm just going to use my bone folder. That gets all the glue bubbles out. And we'll do the same thing on the front. And I'm just going to check this. I don't think I need to. I'm going to try this one here. I'm not talking in sentences. Sorry, I didn't know if it was curled, and it was, so that's why I went along that edge there, just to bend it down. There we go. And I'm going to put it back in here. This has a little rubber stopper there. That'll keep it from drying out while we're working with this. Just got to make sure that it gets down deep enough so it pinches off the tip. One-16th of an inch for a border on all 4 sides. And I'm just going to get my glue bubbles out again. Okay, next we're going to need is our basic white. And we're going to take 4 pieces that are cut at 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, or 10.8 centimeters by 14 centimeters. And I said there's 4 pieces. I already have 2 of them cut. This is our design of the flower, and I cut these already with the die. So we only need 2 now. The die we're going to use is that perennial postage die. That's the largest one. And we're going to cut both of these right away. If I was thinking, I would have cut the other one off camera for you, but I didn't think about that. So you're just going to have to be patient with me. There, we got those 2 done. And what I wanted to show you is how I did that. I've got this large plate that's number 1, and then I got a number 2 plate, and then 2 number 3s, and these are so well worn that the number's gone now. And you put the number 3, you put your die and your paper here facing downward, and then the second number 3 on the top. So let me just put this down for right now. What we want to do next is we want to stamp the inside image. And that's going to be in our cherry cobbler. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And it's going to be wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. I'm trying to move it around the stamp so that it doesn't get all used up in one spot there. I'm just trying to center this, and we've got it slightly off-centered to the top part. Okay, we'll glue that on the inside, but in the meantime I'm going to stamp off this image. We're going to clean this just in a second here. And the next we want is this one here. And I'm going to put this down here because we want to stamp it, and we only want to stamp the congratulations. So we don't want to get ink on everything. So I'm going to take this and block off the rest of that part. And then we'll do the same thing to the other part of the stamp. And this very end here. Scotch tape probably would work a lot better because it sticks to this rubber mat a lot easier. But I don't have any in my office right now, so we're going to just use this. And the tape I'm using is our Post-it label cover-up tape. We're going to use this later on. It sticks securely, it removes cleanly, and you can use it over and over. Unfortunately, I will take these and I will throw them away because they'll have so much ink on them. And I won't want that ink to get on to my card there. And I'm going to just get the ink off this upper edge here. That's what you get when you tilt the stamp. Okay, so now we want to center this on here. I'm going to get it down here. And we're going to center it. Sorry if my head's in the way. All right. Looks great. And we'll just stamp off. And now I'm going to use our Stampin' Scrub to clean that off. And I haven't sprayed it yet today, so we're going to spray it with our Stampin' Mist. And we're going to spray it on this side here where there's a raindrop. That means wet. And then this has a sun drop, so that means dry. And I'm going to just pull it away from the camera because I don't want to spray my cards there. All right. Okay, so we're going to take this next and we're going to glue that down on the inside. So we're going to put glue on the inside here. And I'm just centering it. I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch from the edge here to the outer edge. I didn't measure it, but that's about right. I'm just going to use my bone folder to get all the glue bubbles out. And then we're going to bring in our cut and emboss machine again, and we're going to emboss this. I want to tell you one thing. This says for an embossing folder, use the number 1 and 2 number 3 plates. I tried that with this embossing folder. The folder we're going to be using is the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. It was too tight. I couldn't crank it. It may be just that I don't have the strength to do it. So instead I use this part here with the 3D embossing folder. So you use the number 1 plate and the number 4 plate. And that seemed to work. So we're going to do that again. So we've got our number 1 plate here. So we're going to put our Gathering Leaves in. And then we're going to put the number 4 on there. And it cranks a lot easier. And I like the amount of embossing I get with this, so I'm thinking that's what I needed to do. I don't know if the instructions are wrong for the embossing folder or if they're wrong on that plate. But anyways, that's what I did. Then we're going to put glue on this and glue it down to the front of the card. I'm being very careful not to get my hand in the ink that we left open. We're going to need that in just a few seconds here. Let's see if we can't do it this way. Like I said, I like to do it on the landscape. I seem to be able to line it up a lot better this way. Again, we're leaving that 1/4 inch for a border. Or just center it if you don't want to try and measure for a 1/4 inch. Then next we're going to do is bring in our second piece of cardstock. So I needed a piece that was cut out 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, or 10.4 centimeters by 14 centimeters. And that's what I just did. And we're going to take this and we're going to stamp our image. Let me get it. And we're going to use my Sweet Petunia. And I don't know what they call this, but I'm going to call it a Stampin' Buddy because I have no other idea what to call it. And you want to make sure you don't have those magnets slide into each other. I'm going to just put this one a little bit that way and see if we can't get it to fit. That's going to work. We're going to use a Memento ink in Tuxedo Black. And I'm just going to stamp it all over. We may need to go and do a second stamping. We may not. Sometimes they work the first time. Now you can rub it with your palms or your hand, or you can get an eraser and rub it with the eraser. And that seemed to work just like that. So we won't do another one. I am going to take some time to clean this. So what I got here is the scrubby mat from this plate collection. And I'm just going to wipe this down. That looks good. And I'm just going to put this paper in here just to make sure we keep it nice and clean. Now we're going to take this and we're going to tape it down. So I'm going to use this first and tape this down first. This is that tape we're going to use, that labeling cover-up tape. So I did these two corners, just kind of keep that in place. And then we'll do this one next. And I'm going to tape those in opposite corners again. Then we're going to take our Layers of Beauty decorative masks, and we want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 4 and 5 will be done in green. 1, 2, and 3 will be done using the Cherry Cobbler. We'll do this one on here next. That'll be the first one. Takes me a minute to get the first one all lined up. And then we should be able to do the other ones relatively easily, because I'm going to put lines on here to help us line up the other ones. going to do one right here. And I'll do one up here. I really want to make sure that this doesn't shift on me. So I'm going to have just the one about everywhere there is. So then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace this out here. So we've got that V and we're tracing it around the edge of the card. I'm going to trace this corner, this bottom corner down here, and this bottom corner. Okay? Then we're going to take this, I can't remember what it's called. They have two sizes. One's a little bit smaller than this one, and this one's a little bit larger. And I'm going to put a mat down, because what we want to do is stamp off. Otherwise, it's going to get too dark too quickly. So I'm just going to like rub right there, and then just go in and start rubbing. I like this first one to be rather light. And there's some right in here. Those tend to get a little bit darker, but they're supposed to be flower buds, which when they're closed up, you know, the color's more concentrated. So it does tend to get a little darker there. So I'm okay if it comes in a little darker. Okay, so this looks good. What I'm going to do is take the tape off this mask. And then I'm going to take this and wipe the mask off just a little bit so that the ink doesn't dry too much on there. And you have to be very careful of these petals right here, because if you're not careful, you could catch that and, you know, break it off or bend it. So just be very careful there. And when we're all done, I'm going to go rinse this off with some warm water and soap. So it'll clean up pretty nice. So the next one is going to be number 2. I'm going to just put it in that same position that the other one was in. Then I can just take these and just put them down on the sides here. I'm still going to use Cherry Cobbler, but I'm going to allow it to soak up more of that coloring to get a darker color. Let me see, where am I missing? I have some flowers down here. And I'm going to do a little bit more down there yet. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we're just going to take this color off. I'm going to just take a peek before I pull the whole thing off. Yes, I like that. So we're going to say we've done a good job on this one. Again, I'm just going to try and take some of this coloring off. Then we have one more number 3 to do. Then we're going to do Cherry Cobbler again. So this is our last of the Cherry Cobbler. And I am not going to do these here. Those are the center of the flower. I want to make them a different color altogether. So I'm just going to go over the center part right here of the flower of the petals of the flower, I should say. And I don't care if it's a little darker. I'm coming right onto here rather than going onto my paper. And I think that's it. Again, we're going to peek before we go any farther. Yeah, I think that works. So I'm just going to rub some of the ink out of this, and we'll rinse this out when we're done too. We can close this up. We are done with the cherry cobbler. So next we want is the garden green, and we need the 4 and 5 for the masks. Here's 4. And that should line up pretty easily. It does. Oh, I like how this works. I'm going to bring that up there. This looks good. So we're going to go ahead and start with the garden green. And I want the lighter color again. So we're going to scrub off first and just lay some down very gently. I'm not pressing very hard. As I start using the ink, I can press harder because it's not as much on there now. Can't find my words tonight. Sorry about that. This looks pretty good. Just trying to get it all fairly close to the same range of color there. Then we're going to take this off from here. And we don't need to check the color because it's a totally different color. Ooh, doesn't that look lovely? And I'm just going to wipe this down. Oh, I should have been careful. I almost got it onto the card. Then we're going to use the last mask, number 5. Alright, and we need a little more color in here, but I'm still not going to go straight onto the card. I don't want it to be super dark. Hoping I'm not going on centers. I forgot to double check that. I think we're okay. I don't think there's any centers here. I think this is all the green part. I think this is probably good enough. Looks like it's lighter down here, so let's do some more down this way. Okay, let's just see if we can't take a peek on that. That looks good. All right, I'll let you guys see it. And I'm going to wipe this down too. And we'll come back and rinse this off with some warm soapy water. And I'm going to rinse that out. Okay, so let's take this off from here. Can't get it off from the paper. There we go. So what we need to do next is we need to die cut this. Now we could just put it on like this and try and eyeball it. But I have this here. This was one that I had cut out before. And if you get this lined up properly, and what you got to do is you got to put it on the mat first before you do that. We'll tape this one down. Then you take this and line it up so that everything looks centered right. That looks about right there. So I'm going to just tape that down. And I'll tip that. And let's see if this is going to be good up here as well. It does look fine. So I'm going to tape this right up here. And we can drop this in there. And you'll be able to feel it when you get it lined up just right. It just pops right in there. So let's bring up our cut and emboss machine. We need plate number 1. Then we need the plate number 2. Then we need the bottom plate number 3. That's this one with the die on there. Then we need the second number 3. And it's still lined up. I can see that. So then we're just going to crank it out. So let's get these off from here. There. Doesn't that look fantastic? And then I went ahead and die cut 2 more with no coloring on there. And we're going to put some glue on there, glue these together. Let me get my silicone mat back out here. I'm going to glue with the liquid glue here because I like that there's some wiggle room here so I can get these to line up properly. Or if you use the tear-in tape, or if you use the Seal or Seal Plus, they seem to want to stay more permanent. There's hardly any wiggle room. A little bit with the Seal, but the Seal Plus, it's pretty much got to be there in its final position when you put it down. So there's a little bit of wiggle room here. And I did use that. Okay. Then we're going to take this, put some glue on this, and put it on top of there. Again, we want the wiggle room. You could use dimensionals, but I don't want this to get all crumpled when it goes through the rollers at the post office. And you'd have to put so many dimensionals on to make sure that that didn't happen. And then there's all those tiny spots for the flowers and the leaves. It's just easier to cut out another piece there. And I'm just making sure this is going back down. That looks fantastic, doesn't it? Okay, then we're going to just put glue on this side. I don't think I would have been able to do this with the squeeze bottle. I know I wouldn't have been able to squeeze it for that long, even back when I could squeeze. So now we want to just hover this over here and find a place for it. So I've kind of got the top flowers centered, and then I'll just set it down. That looks good. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on there. I'm going to open it up and use my bone folder to apply more pressure, get any excess glue bubbles out of there. And then what we need next is our gems. And what we have is our shades of green hexagons. And I'm using these lighter ones here that has more of the garden green hue to it than these. These have a bluish green hue to it. I'm just going to put 3 on here, if I can get them. We'll put 1 right here. Put 1 right there. 1 right there. And one more thing is to put our Winkastella on there. So I'm going to just shake this a little bit, and I'm going to push this right here to feed it There, it's starting to come. I'm just going to put a little bit on the flowers. Ooh, we forgot the yellow. Let's get the yellow here. The dark daffodil delight is going to be our center flowers. The center of our flowers. Ooh, there should be one down here. One right there. I think I got them all. And one over here. Yep. And we're just going to go ahead and finish this up. I'm working fast because its color is bleeding a little bit. And I noticed some was dripping out of the side of the pen. So if you look at that, you can see the shimmer. I think we are done now. Let me just clean this off. And how you clean this off, take your paper. Where was our paper? And you just squeeze until it's clean. And it's already clean, so we're good. I think we're done. I hope you like this project as much as I did. As you can see, it would work great with just about any sentiment. Why don't you give it a try? Now, if you enjoyed today's video, would you do me two favors? Click the thumbs up emoji, which means you like it. And would you share it on social media with your crafting friends and pin it to Pinterest? These actions will help me to keep sharing my ideas with other crafters for free, and I'd really appreciate that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below so you won't miss any future videos. If you have any questions, be sure to contact me. I'm here to help in any way that I can. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Just reach out to me. If you'd like to place a Stampin' Up! Order or like a catalog, hop over to my website where you'll find the Shop Now button. To shop with me, you'll need to go to joanheberlein.stampinup.net. Mark your calendars. I'll be back next Sunday, September 14th at 7 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be doing something from the online exclusives. I hope you'll be here to join me. Thanks so much for being here with me tonight. I look forward to next time. Bye for now, and don't forget to subscribe.